Center. Today I'm going to show you a prone or lying on your stomach, passive range liftoff for hip extension. So this is a great way to build strength and control and mobility in hip extension if you're a little bit limited. If you find that your hip flexors always feel restricted or that tightness feeling in the front of your hips, this can be a great way to build that glute and hamstring strength in a short position to help offload those hips. So you'll start on your stomach, and if you tend to have trouble lying on your stomach because you're limited in hip extension and your back, low back tends to compensate, then I want you to use a bolster or a rolled up towel or a pillow just to prop you up into a bit more hip flexion so we can work on relative hip extension. Because one of the things that we often compensate for if we're limited in hip extension is we crank through our low back. So we want to minimize that so we can really isolate the hip. Then I want you to take a ball or a rolled washcloth or a ball of socks and place it behind the knee so you can create a little bit more tension. So what you're going to do, you're going to squeeze whatever you have in the back of the knee. Imagine you have an orange and you're trying to make juice. You're going to bring your heel to your bum. You're going to flex your foot towards your shin, and that's going to lock out the knee and ankle to make sure we're only moving from our hip. Then I like to place my hands on the front of my pelvis so I make sure that I'm not arching through my back. So I want to tuck the pelvis under, think about pubic bone or thighs to the floor. I'm going to squeeze that orange, then I'm going to squeeze my bum, and then I'm going to drive my heel up towards the ceiling without arching through my back. So my chest should stay on the ground, and the pressure in both hands should be the same. If I'm twisting, then I'll lose pressure on one pelvic bone onto my hand. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So think about heel to bum, foot to shin, squeeze the bum, then drive the heel up, keeping good pressure through the abdomen so we're not arching through our back. Depending on your quad bulk, you might not get off the ground, and that's okay. It's about engagement. We're going to hold for 10 seconds, come down, and then reset. And if you are using a bolster and you find that you are getting more range and you're sure you're not using it from your back, take that away and see if you're able to complete the exercise even more. So now we're in more passive range hip extension relative to when we were using the prop. And so I'm going to squeeze heel to bum, flex foot to shin, drive that heel as I squeeze my bum, drive that heel up towards the ceiling, keeping equal pressure in both hands. So you can do about 3 to 5 reps, 10-second holds on each side. The harder you squeeze, the more intense this exercise is going to be. So depending on what your goals are, if you're doing it as a bit of a primer, maybe back off the intensity to about 40 to 60%. If you're doing it at the end of your day or as part of your mobility, then you can bump that up to 70 to 80%.